A Beacon in the Dark by Noha Ijiachi. Chapter 36. Little Broken Things Leaning on One Another. Everyone went on their way pretty much as soon as Todoroki left the table. Katsuki guessed no one really felt like partying anymore, so when Kirishima silently started to help pick up plastic glasses and plates strewn everywhere, Katsuki joined him. It didn't take much to gather all the trash in dark plastic bags, and they left Sato to the task of putting away leftovers for the next days, taking a bag each to go to the garbage dump. "What?" he asks with a tired sigh after the approximately 1,000th time Kirishima glanced at him. "Nothing!" Kirishima replies, grinning. "You're being kind!" Katsuki doesn't dignify that with anything besides a brief irritated snort. Kirishima laughs unfazed as usual. He doesn't comment further, which Katsuki is grateful for, because otherwise he'd have to make him eat dust. His pride was on the line. When they get back from the brief trip, he makes a beeline for the stairs. Kirishima apparently decided it was okay to pester him like an annoying fly because he promptly follows. "Do you want to watch a movie?" he asks, bouncy. "There's this action flick I've got recently. It's about a guy with a quirk that allows him to spit bullets." "I'm going to bed," Katsuki replies, ignoring him, starting to climb the stairs. "What?" Kirishima whines. "It's not even 9. What are you, an old man? Come on." "No." Katsuki grumbles, stopping on the platform on the second floor to turn toward Kirishima with an unamused glare. "I really don't care for that stuff, and you should go to bed too. We have lessons tomorrow." He trails off when Kirishima looks behind him and pales, eyes going wide. Katsuki turns, following his line of sight. It takes him a moment to realize he isn't looking at a ghost. Deku is so pale he might just be one, a lost expression on his face, tear tracks along his cheeks. There's blood on his hands. Kirishima already ran forward, speechless, grabbing Deku by the shoulders. "Dude, what the heck? Are you okay?" he asks, concerned. Katsuki reaches them just as Deku blinks, his mouth opening and closing slightly, looking possibly even more lost. For the second time, Kirishima leaves Katsuki behind, making a strangled sound as he let Deku go and dashed past him directly into his room. Deku stumbles and would have probably fallen straight down like a sack of potatoes if Katsuki didn't grab him in time, steadying him. When he peers over his shoulder, he could see what had Kirishima turning even paler. Todoroki is a crumpled heap on the floor, a small pool of blood under his head. Kirishima kneels by him, not touching him, as he examines his wounds. For what he can see, Todoroki's nose seems to be broken, and a deep, long, diagonal cut is splitting his right brow in half, most of his face covered in blood. He doesn't answer when Kirishima calls him loudly. "He's breathing!" Kirishima exhales, a hand hovering near Todoroki's mouth. He turns to them, eyebrows scrunched. "I'll stay with him. Bakugo, take Midoriya away and call someone, please." Next time he'll speak with Aizawa, he's going to have to ask him if life as a teacher was supposed to be like this, because Toshinori is fairly sure this cannot be normal, even for UA standards. He almost had a heart attack when he answered young Bakugo's call that briefly explained the situation. He and Recovery Girl made a dash for 1A's dormitory, finding young Ida waiting for them at the door that silently guides them upstairs. Toshinori doesn't really have the time to ponder too much about the fact that they hastily walk by young Midoriya on one of the couches, hanging to one of Bakugo's arms like his life depended on it, hiding his face against his bicep. He really doesn't have the time to reflect upon young Bakugo's slightly pale face and his enigmatic expression as he stood there, letting himself be used like a crutch by the boy he claimed multiple times to hate. For the moment, he has to focus on the more pressing matter. When they enter young Midoriya's room, other students nervously waiting in front of it, parting to give them space. Kirishima is there, kneeling by Todoroki's side. He's keeping a rolled-up towel stained with blood pressed against his forehead. He turns to them, frowning. "I didn't move him. Just tried to stop the bleeding," he says, concise. "I'm not sure how hurt he is, but he's breathing regularly, even if his nose seems to be broken." "Good job," Recovery girl replies, immediately kneeling by the boy herself.
Did he wake or move at all?
A little bit. He made a sort of groan and tried to move after I called him really loud, but I stopped him. Kirishima scoots over, leaving her space. She examines Todoroki, prodding him carefully. Then, with practiced gentle hands, she cradles the boy's head, inspecting the damage at a different angle. He releases a little moan, eyes still closed.
It's okay, kid. Give me a minute. It'll be over soon,
she reassures, gentle, before muttering to herself.
This wound, it's deep, but the skull is intact. Nose is definitely broken, though.
Toshinori takes a look around, inspecting the scene. There's a little pool of blood on the floor, messy, red hand and foot-shaped prints around it. And it's not the only place stained with it. The sharp corner of the nightstand by the bed is shining red too, and Toshinori feels a little shiver run down his spine looking at the rapidly drying blood on the apparently innocuous piece of furniture. He's starting to put the pieces together here. Recovery girl inspects the boy carefully for another minute before placing a long, wet kiss on his cheek. Young Todoroki moans weakly once more, as his nose shifts slightly, turning back to its normal shape. The deep wound over his right eye closes too, but leaves behind a long, angry red scar that breaks his pale brow in two, starting a bit below his hairline to curve nearby his eye. He's lucky his eye is unscathed. Even a few millimeters on the side would have surely meant some kind of damage to it. He blinks blearily after that. The gray of his iris is a stark contrast with the drying blood that pretty much covers the right side of his face entirely, staining his snow-white hair. He looks at them, unfocused, before his gaze seems to clear over, and he immediately shoots up like a spray sitting on the floor. He moans, cradling his head as Recovery Girl grabs him firmly.
Don't move, she reprimands. You might be slightly concussed.
Izuku, young Todoroki replies, anguished. Where? He's downstairs. He's okay. Young Kirishima intervenes, soothing. What happened? He adds faintly, clearly concerned. It's another little pained groan. I think he was having a nightmare, so I tried to wake him. But it wasn't his fault. Oh no. Young Araraka exhales from the door. Toshinori turns, noticing the little group was still hovering in the corridor. She looks pale, both hands on her mouth. Young Todoroki stubbornly ignores Recovery Girl's grip, shifting to get up on his feet.
I told you not to move.
She tries to snap to no avail. The boy stumbles a bit, shaking his head slightly. It wasn't his fault, he repeats, turning toward the door and walking straight past Toshinori, as if he isn't even there. Where is he? I need to tell him.
Not like this, no.
Young Ida intervenes from the door, too, with a tired sigh.
At least get cleaned up first.
Todoroki stops cold, looking vaguely surprised at his classmate, before replying, deadpan. He's blind, Ida. Ida groans, massaging his eyes behind the lenses.
I know, he replies, terse, but I don't think it's a good idea for you to go speak to him right now. He's too upset. Give him a minute to calm down.
Todoroki blinks, turning back toward the three of them still in the room, and then to the little group outside. If you are all here, who was with him? He asks, incredulous. Did you leave him alone? Bakugo's with him, Yaoyorozu replies softly. Young Todoroki does what Toshinori can only describe as a double take. What? It's fine, I think, Yaoyorozu adds, not sounding exactly convinced herself. I mean, we tried to buy him off of Bakugo, but he won't let go. Bakugo seems okay with it anyway, so, A pause. Since you are fine, I'm going to check on them, she adds, slightly concerned, turning to the walk downstairs.
Let's go get you cleaned up,
Ida sighs, putting a steady hand on young Todoroki's shoulder, guiding him away. He seems unsure at first, but he gives in, following. Toshinori walks out the room, rapidly followed by Recovery Girl and Kirishima.
I'll request some cleaning bots to come take care of this mess,
Recovery Girl mutters as they all turn to look back. The room looks like a crime scene.
The boy is clearly okay, so I'll go write an incident report. But if he shows any symptom of concussion or anything strange in his behavior, call me right away. Okay? Yes, ma'am, young Uraraka replies tiredly. Thanks for coming so quickly.
She hums, walking away. They all watch her go before Toshinori sighs deeply.
Sensei, would you like something to drink? A tea?
Young Uraraka suddenly says, looking up at him.
You don't look so good right now.
Toshinori blinks, scratching the back of his head. I just got a bit scared, he admits. But, well, fortunately nothing excessively serious happened. She hums, unconvinced, before adding,
Well, since you are here, maybe go speak with Midoriya? I think he could use it.
Yes, I think I will do that, he murmurs back. When he gets back to the communal space, young Yaoyorozu gets up from the couch and nods at him, walking away to give them space. It's just the three of them now, and when he closes in, young Bakugo turns to him with an expression Toshinori could only read as, Help me! Young Midoriya is still hanging onto his arm firmly, head hanging low. Toshinori kneels in front of them, trying and failing to observe which kind of expression his young pupil is wearing. My boy, everything's okay. Oh, Todoroki is totally fine. Recovery girl promptly took care of him. He'll probably be here in a minute. And I think young Bakugo is about to lose sensitivity in that arm. Toshinori says, his voice carefully crafted to sound casual and light. Or don't you let him go?
I need him. Young Midoriya replies, voice low. If I go crazy again and start attacking everyone, he's the one strong enough to stop me.
Young Bakugo blinks, his eyes going wide as he turns to look down at the messy head of girls. You're so stupid, he snaps. You're not going to attack anyone. It was an accident. When Midoriya doesn't answer, he groans. Let my arm go, idiot. And here I thought I was supposed to be consoling you or some crap. You're not some kind of rabid dog. Stop making a mountain out of a molehill. The silence stretches as young Midoriya refuses to relax his grip. You're always like this, mulling over everything until it stops making sense. Young Bakugo continues, exasperated. Stop that brain for a goddamn minute and take a deep breath. You're being dramatic. It was an accident. Chill and let me go. A moment of silence. Deku. Izuku. Young Midoriya's face immediately snaps up, eyes wide. He's pale, dark circles around his eyes. After a second, his hold relaxes, allowing young Bakugo to take his arm back. There. Now calm down, he adds, massaging his forearm. It was a freak accident, okay? You're not gonna attack anyone. Stuff happens sometimes, okay? Got it? Give me a clear answer. Okay, Midoriya murmurs faintly. That wasn't clear, but I'll take it. Bakugo replies as he stands. If I ever hear you spout any more of that angry crap, I'll give myself a goddamn good reason to stop you. Now cry a bit on your dad's shoulder and everything will be just fine. Toshinori doesn't really have the time to do anything else other than gape wordlessly as young Bakugo turns on his heels and leaves with big strides. Young Midoriya blinks, pale eyes unmoving from the point Bakugo disappeared into. Toshinori clears his throat, taking the place that the boy just left, sitting carefully. He's not sure what to say. But then young Midoriya turns to him, eyes big and expression lost, and murmurs, What is wrong with me? Toshinori freezes for a second before releasing a deep sigh. He carefully put both hands on the boy's cheeks, gently cradling his face. Nothing is wrong with you. You just need a bit of time to let some things go, he replies softly. Young Bakugo was right. It was just an accident. Don't let yourself give in to those dark voices inside you. That's all they are. Just voices. Don't listen to them. Midoriya stares, silent. He looks like he wants to ask, How do you know? But he doesn't. Toshinori is far too accustomed to dealing with the aftermath of a scarred soul to not at least have a vague idea of what's going through his young pupil's mind. I hate this! The boy sobs instead, pushing Toshinori's hands away. I thought I was finally going to get back to normal. Instead, I feel like I'm still there. Like at any second, I'd woke up and realized I just dreamed all of this, and there's part of me that's like, just wants to strike back at anything and anyone. Like my mind refuses to accept that I'm safe now.
That's a fairly normal reaction.
Toshinori murmurs, not touching him again, no matter how he wished to do so.
You need time to process everything.
I don't like it.
Midoriya grumbles, nervously crossing his arms.
No one does.
Toshinori replies with a little sigh.
It'll be okay, I promise. You just need to be patient.
Young Midoriya huffs, nervously bobbing his leg in front of him. Then he rises from the couch, carting a stiff hand through his hair.
What time is it?
Toshinori fumbles with his phone for a moment before he finally unlocks it.
9:15. Why?
I still have a bit of time before curfew then.
Midoriya mutters, adding a little louder.
I'm going out. I need to clear my head.
Do you want me to come with you?
Toshinori asks, tentative, but the boy that already covered the distance toward the couch to the exit shakes his head.
I need to be alone for a bit,
he replies, flat, not even turning as he pats the shoe rack in search of his bright red shoes, and then leans down to put them on.
I'm just going to take a walk around the building. I won't go far.
Toshinori watches, pained, as the boy exits and softly clicks the door closed behind him. Aizawa hinted that his young pupil might be going through a rough patch when they spoke on the phone earlier, so this doesn't come as a surprise. But it hurts nonetheless. He wonders if he shouldn't have put a firmer foot down and stopped him from actually getting an internship. But then the boy probably would have found a way to convince him regardless. It was hard to condemn him for his eagerness and willingness to work hard. No one could have possibly imagined any of this would have happened. Well, almost no one. Still, Toshinori cannot hold this against Night Eye either. He knows how careful he always is with his quirk, and how even more careful he started to be after he and Toshinori parted ways. Night Eye has always been a good friend and an amazing sidekick, but Toshinori often wondered how the guy dealt with his ability. The mere idea of the things Night Eye witnessed, always unable to change them, was soul-crushing at times. Steps behind him shake him out of his thoughts, and he turns, finding himself meeting young Todoroki's eyes. His expression is carefully flat, face and hair now clean, unstained clothes on him. It takes Toshinori a moment to realize that the bright green hoodie he's wearing looks so familiar because he saw young Midoriya wear it multiple times in the past. It always was a bit too big for him, the sleeves biling around his wrists, but it seems to be a perfect fit for Todoroki, even if the color clashes with his peculiar hair.
Where is he?
He asks, cutting directly to the chase. Toshinori sighs.
Went to take a walk. He said he needed some time alone. And you let him go.
The tone is almost reproaching. Toshinori tilts an eyebrow.
I did not wish to force my presence on him since he outright expressed the need to be alone.
He replies, whipping out his best teacher voice.
Come here.
Looking unconvinced, young Todoroki still obeys. He doesn't sit on the spot young Midoriya left empty, preferring to perch on the armrest of the couch.
I understand your concern, but fussing over him will do more harm than good right now.
Toshinori says, not without a note of kindness.
It is okay wanting to take care of him, and I'm sure there will be moments in which he will gladly accept your help. But you also need to give him space when he asks for it. I promise he'll be fine. He's strong, you know that.
Todoroki shifts uncomfortably, eyes sliding on his side.
The point is that I'm an idiot, he says low. Do you know how many times I've woken up swinging wildly myself? Enough times that I should have known better. Instead, I went and grabbed him, and now he feels guilty for my mistake.
Toshinori blinks. It takes a second for the info to fully sink in. Why would young Todoroki, someone with a quirk that puts to shame about 50% of the current pro heroes out there, someone that has grown up under the protective wing of the man that for the longest time occupied the number 2 spots in the rankings, would ever have a reason to wake up swinging at anyone? That was unless the protective wing wasn't as protective as everyone would assume. Another unsurprising piece of this puzzle Toshinori really wishes he didn't need to be putting together. And the boy must have realized his slip because he's now eyeing him warily. Toshinori meets his eyes, and they look at each other in silence for what feels like an eternity. Oh, God damn it. Young Todoroki whispers, nervously guarding a hand through his hair. The split in his right brow is more obvious like this, without the white strands of hair covering it. His freshly acquired scar looks slightly less red-angry than it did a handful of minutes ago, but still jumps to the eyes, contrasting with his fairly light complexion.
While we wait for young Midoriya to come back, why don't we have a little chat of our own?
Toshinori asks, careful. No.
No? No.
Todoroki replies, stubborn. I'm grateful for your help, I really am, but this talk is not happening.
Why not?
Toshinori can't help but prad softly. You know why not. Todoroki sighs, launching him a little unamused look. It's quite interesting the range of emotions he manages to convey through his face alone when he's not making a point of keeping his shields up. If I say anything, it would be like launching a little snowball down a mountain. Once it'll start to roll, it would probably turn into an avalanche and not just my family, but the world as well might end up getting caught in it. Do you really think that we need any of that with what's happening out there right now?
We don't have to do anything you don't want.
Toshinori frowns.
I can keep things confidential.
No, you couldn't, trust me. I'm pretty sure you'd be legally enforced to report any of the things I'd tell you. The boy sounds tense and impatient now. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but let's drop this topic. It'll be all the better. A cold silence falls on them, and Toshinori wonders just when things started to become so complicated. Or maybe they always were, he just hadn't realized. When Todoroki sighs. Speaking of which, I'm going to guess this, and he points at his knee scar, will probably need to be communicated to my legal guardian. Doesn't it? My legal guardian, not even my father. For the love of...
Yes, I think.
Toshinori replies, measured. Can you tell anyone else but him? The boy asks, tired. My sister.
I doubt so.
My mother, then. He immediately adds, that's... Not that I like the idea, but it'd be much better.
I'll see what I can do.
Toshinori sighs, massaging his forehead.
Anything else?
He adds, tired. Actually, yes, the boy replies. Can I call you Yagi-sensei instead of All Might? The question drops on him like a bucket of water. Out of nothing, surprising, and slightly uncomfortable.
Well, that is my name, so yes, of course you can.
He carefully says, frowning.
Why?
It'd help me. Young Todoroki replies, not missing a beat, and absolutely, utterly cryptic. These kids are going to kill me. I swear, I need a vacation. Or 200. Catching his own train of thought, Toshinori groans, the boy turning to look at him curiously.
I'm starting to sound like Aizawa.
Toshinori murmurs to himself, exasperated. Young Todoroki releases a little sound that may or may not make a laugh. He sits on the stairs, legs extended in front of him and feet vaguely bobbing. He doesn't move at all, hands resting between his knees. He left Yagi-sensei to speak with his other classmates, those that assisted to the whole ordeal at least. They must be as shaken as Shoto feels. Actually, to be fair, they probably must be more shaken than Shoto feels. He is pretty aware of his own mistake that led them to this situation earlier after he washed the blood away from his face and took a second to observe the scar he just acquired. He felt something. A rustle of grass and then silence snaps him out of his own train of thought. He can tell that Izuku is hesitating. The noise was enough of a giveaway, and besides, Shoto just had this vague feeling in his guts. It wasn't logical, but he could tell he was nearby. So he waits. Silent. In the end, patience, and the fact Izuku had no choice but to walk by him if he wanted to get in before breaking curfew, won. Izuku emerges from the dark, irises shining like weak green neons into the light. He stops at the bottom of the stairs in front of him. His face is a mask, mouth a flat line, and then he climbs some steps before bending down on his knees, Shoto shifting his legs a bit to give him space. Izuku's face turns on a side as he accepts the hand Shoto is offering him. He doesn't quite take it, unsure, his fingers resting limp into Shoto's hold. Shoto leans forward, extending his hand even more, Izuku's fingers sliding away from him, and he grazes his cheek. Izuku sniffs, goes still for a second, and then grabs the hoodie's sleeve and drags it a bit closer to his nose, taking another deeper sniff. "Is this my hoodie?" he asks, perplexed.
How can you tell?
Shoto replies, blinking, taking the hand away gently. "It smells like the detergent only I use."
Shoto tips his head downward, sniffing his own shoulder. It smells like nothing.
"To you lucky-sighted bastards, yes," Izuku replies, but his voice lacks any real bite. "It's one of the few brands I like to use exactly because it smells so faintly. Other soaps bother me sometimes. Why are you using my hoodie?"
Why not? It's comfortable.
"And you left it in my room last time you came by," Shoto replies, shrugging.
Finders keepers. Izuku huffs before shifting in a more comfortable position,
sitting on the steps with his back towards Shoto. When Shoto leans forward and puts both arms around his shoulders, careful, he accepts it. "So," Shoto says softly after the silence stretched for a good 30 seconds. Yes, he counted.
Did the walk help?
"I don't know," Izuku replies, flat, pulling at his sleeves. "Aren't you angry?"
You're the one with the empathic quirk. What do you think?
Shoto shrugs, fully knowing that Izuku will find absolutely no trace of anger nor resentment in him.
Izuku glares a bit,
but says nothing. He sighs, tipping his face down. "You should be," he mutters, childish.
Why? Because I was an idiot.
Shoto replies, tilting an eyebrow. When Izuku turns his face back up to him, confused, he continues. "Izuku, I've lost count of how many times I woke up instinctively punching someone. Especially you know who." A pause. "He liked to surprise me in the mornings to test my reaction time," he said.
Something darker than usual, squirms into Izuku's eyes at that. But Shoto continues.
"One time I was taking a nap in our living room and one of my brothers tried to wake me so we could watch our favorite show. One of those rare times that guy wasn't around to try to destroy my relationship with my siblings. I punched him in the teeth so hard he spit out 3. The last few baby teeth, so luckily it wasn't too bad. He didn't speak to me for 2 weeks though." "Shoto, what I'm trying to say is, I should have known better." Shoto continues unfazed. "If this whole thing is anyone's fault, it's mine."
Izuku's quirk is a curse and a blessing.
This time around it definitely comes in handy because Shoto knows that he doesn't need to add anything else for Izuku to feel his sincerity. "It wasn't your fault either," he finally murmurs. "It was just a freak accident." "I'm glad you understand that. I don't want you to blame yourself." Shoto sighs. And in any case, Recovery Girl was right around the corner, so no harm done. "Did it hurt?" Izuku asks faintly.
"Not for long. I went down pretty much immediately."
Shoto admits, seeing no point in even attempting to lie to him.
"You've got a mean right hook."
"Sorry," Izuku sniffs. "Well, at least this whole thing just shows one more flaw in my little become a hero plan," he adds, self-reproaching, expression turning tense.
"Oh."
"I completely panicked," he murmurs, "because I could feel and smell the blood, but I had no idea how hurt you were. I didn't know if I could even risk to touch anything without making something possibly worse. First aid is probably something I'll never be able to do." Shoto replies, taking a second to think. "Well, means we'll always have to work together, so I can take care of that." "Yeah, and what if you get hurt and end up unconscious?" Izuku replies, sarcastic. "What then, smart guy?" "Then it means we'll have to recruit Uraraka, and Ida, and Yaoyorozu. We'll be a full team, watch each other's backs.
so you won't have to worry.
The frown on Izuku's face deepens.
That's not reassuring. I hate the fact I can't be self-sufficient. You don't need to be... Izuku, listen to me.
Shoto snaps, interrupting him.
You don't need to do everything alone. No one does. We are only human, okay? That's the point of having friends and partners. We can be there to make up for what we lack. They can be there to make up for what we lack. Working together makes us stronger, not weaker. Do you think you are the only hero that cannot deal with first aid? I'm ready to bet there are a ton of bros out there right now that are absolute rubbish at it, and they might as well just not even try, leaving it in the hands of others.
Izuku blinks at him, eyes wide, clearly surprised by his little rant.
Besides, Shoto adds, I'm sure there are things you can learn to do, even if you can't see. You are not that kind of person that just gives up and doesn't even try.
Why are you like this?
Izuku sniffs, voice tense.
Why do you believe in me so much?
Because you believed in me when no one else did. Shoto replies promptly, voice firm. Izuku gasps, softly frozen in his spot, until he looks down with a forlorn expression.
I don't understand how any of this happened, he mutters. What did I do to deserve you?
How do you prefer this list? In numerical or alphabetical order?
Shoto replies, not without a touch of sarcasm. He smiles to himself, satisfied, when Izuku finally releases a little surprised chuckle. Come here. Izuku hesitates for a handful of seconds before shifting up a couple of more steps, nestling himself between Shoto's legs. Shoto squeezes him closer, putting his chin on the soft curls.
I'm sorry I hit you,
Izuku murmurs.
There was a lot of blood. Even if I just broke your nose, which I think I did, I can't explain that much blood.
You don't have to apologize, but if it can help, just know that you are forgiven. And I think I hit my head on the nightstand. Shoto replies evenly. Opened a cut above my eye. Head wounds tend to bleed a lot. Oh, it's actually pretty cool. Shoto adds, lips curling, not giving him the time to apologize again. What? Izuku replies, tipping his face up with a confused expression. Shoto takes his hand, guides his fingers along the fresh scar above his eye. It still itches a bit and feels tender, and when Izuku's fingertips follow it for its entire length a couple of times, a little shiver runs down Shoto's spine.
It's scarred,
Izuku murmurs, clearly unhappy.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be. I like it. It looks a bit like the scar you have, and it's above my right eye too. Now we match.
Izuku's hand stills near his face as he frowns. Shoto has the feeling Izuku is trying to figure out if he's lying to make him feel better, but since Shoto knows for a fact Izuku will find no lie in him, because he does. He likes the scar. Yeah, it isn't rational, but who cares? He just relaxes and waits for his reaction.
Yeah, I just remembered that you called me crazy and insane a couple of times.
Izuku finally replies, incredulous.
I'm suddenly realizing how absolutely rich that is coming from you. You're a weirdo.
Shoto splutters, and the surprised short laugh that follows is loud enough to echo into the night.
He's not even sure he wants to go to lessons tomorrow. He will. He knows he will. Because with 5 full days of lessons lost, he already has a whole lot of catching up to do, and certainly doesn't need to add to that. But still, doesn't mean he particularly wants to go. He just can't quell this permanent jittery nervousness at the bottom of his stomach. Everything keeps feeling slightly off, not helping the constant nagging thought at the back of his head that this isn't true, and he'll probably wake up blind and radarless and change once more at any second now. He knows that's not the case. He knows. But logical brain and animal brain don't always agree on certain things, it seems. At this point, he has no idea what to do with himself anymore. His best guess is to just try and be normal. Force himself back into a routine. Fake it until you make it, they say. Maybe tomorrow things will be better. Maybe he'll wake up feeling less tense after a good night of sleep in his own bed. Who knows? He and Shoto were towing the line of the usual evening curfew. After he let out that short but genuinely amused laugh, Shoto took a deep breath, released a little sigh, and squeezed Izuku closer to himself, not saying anything else as he gently strokes his back with long, slow caresses. His light was a warm embrace as much as his arms were, surrounding Izuku with a sense of peace that managed to push back those dark thoughts, even if just a tiny bit. And doesn't that make much more sense now? Izuku never felt anyone's light behave like that before. Of course he didn't. No one ever fell in love with him before. Eri's words echo in his mind. If Deku likes him so much, he must be a special person. He is. He is special. No, he's more than special. He's perfect. If a bit crazy, apparently. Izuku really has no idea what the hell he did to deserve someone like Shoto. Someone that didn't even bat an eye in front of the fact they got a broken nose and possibly concussed by their own stupid boyfriend. Someone that apparently liked to have another scar on his face because they match. Someone that felt absolutely no anger toward him, not even a bit, despite the fact he probably should. And for some reason, Shoto is in love with Izuku. Just, how did that even happen? Why did he fall for a disaster like Izuku? Shoto could have had so much better if he so desired. And yet, that's what he said. Multiple times. I love you. Just recalling the words, Shoto's voice, the warmth of his hands as he said it, makes Izuku feel like his heart might be melting. He kind of wanted to ask Shoto to say it over and over, but refrained. It would be so selfish of him to ask Shoto to bare his heart repeatedly when he couldn't even give him a proper answer, especially after what just happened. He just barely started to understand what it meant to be in a relationship with their tentative, at times awkward attempt to be boyfriends. How could he even tell if he loved Shoto too? There are many things he loves about him, sure. How smart he is, his surprising kindness, his thoughtfulness, his ability to pay heed to any tiny detail. The way he speaks, voice deep but soft, his words always holding the weight of someone that really means what he says. The way he touches Izuku almost reverently, like he's something precious that must be protected. The way he kisses, gentle but passionate, just... his presence in general has already become something that Izuku needed like he needed air. But does he love him? Izuku sighs. He shouldn't have been so pushy. Shoto had a point in not wanting to tell him right away. But in that moment, Izuku felt so unsure of what could Shoto possibly want to say, and so certain he'd want to call the whole thing off. Why would he want to be with you? You are damaged goods, Midoriya. Face it. That he just needed to hear what Shoto had to say. He couldn't have lived in peace with that doubt. Of course, now he has a whole new problem between his hands. It doesn't feel right leaving Shoto hanging, not having a proper answers to his confession. Even if he directly asked Izuku to take his time, reflect upon it. And Izuku punched him in the face. What is it? Shoto asks softly. Izuku didn't even realize he groaned aloud. Nothing, he mutters back unconvincing to his own ears. Yeah, no, it's not nothing. What were you overthinking about with that constantly running head of yours? Just stupid thoughts. Little malignant voices telling me things I know are not true. Nothing to be worried about. A long silence follows. Shit, did I just say out loud that I have little voices in my head? Izuku adds, almost detached. That's a lot to worry about, actually. Shoto ups. Nah, I get it. He replies easily. I really do. Tell them to shut up.
Izuku snickers, surprised, unable to help himself. Shoto moves his hand on Izuku's cheek and tips his face up, pushing a long, loud kiss on the other. Isn't that better? I'd much rather hear you laugh, he murmurs, breath caressing the slightly humid spot he left behind. We should get back inside now. It's almost done. I guess, Izuku concedes, admittedly unhappy at the idea of having to leave Shoto's warm embrace. You're probably tired after Recovery Girl patched you up. You should go to sleep. I think I'm going to stay up a bit longer. I'll see you tomorrow. What are you talking about? Shoto replies as they both stand and he helps Izuku up. I'm not sleeping alone tonight. Izuku sighs, unamused. I just punched you in the face while I was sleeping. Yeah, because I tried to wake you up like an idiot. Shoto immediately replies, sounding just as unamused as Izuku feels. It's going to be fine. If you get another nightmare, I'll make sure to wake you from a safe distance. I'll poke it with your cane or something. Shoto, shut up! Shoto snaps before sighing. This is for myself as much as it is for you. I don't want to sleep alone again, Izuku. I need to have you by my side. He sounds so desolated that Izuku really cannot even try to object again. Okay then, he concedes, massaging his forehead tiredly. Let's go to bed. The phone buzzing against his thigh rouses him from his light sleep, making him jump just a tiny bit. He dozed off in the chair by Aries' bed, and his neck isn't all too happy about it. Launching a tiny look to the girl, he's reassured of the fact she's deeply asleep before slipping out the room. He takes some steps away down the corridor as he fishes the still buzzing object out of his pocket. He glances at the time. Well past midnight. And the name displayed a little groan finding way out of his throat.
What is it?
He asks, more than a bit grumpy, finally picking up the call. Oh! Toshinori replies, faintly surprised, from the other side of the phone.
I was just about to close the call. I thought you might be asleep. Oh, did you make it back to the hospital?
Course. Aizawa replies, massaging his forehead.
Why are you calling at this hour?
The sigh sounds sketchy through the receiver.
There was a bit of an accident at the dorms. I would have called you sooner, but I needed to speak with Recovery Girl and Nezu first.
Toshinori says, voice tiredly flat.
Young Midoriya punched Todoroki in the face when Todoroki tried to wake him up from a nightmare.
Aizawa is this a curse, and if Toshinori heard it, he doesn't comment.
Didn't even have the time to stop 5 minutes and speak with the class.
Aizawa mutters to himself he had to drop the students back at school and come back to the hospital right away due to the fact he was assigned to his new duty of area watcher. Why couldn't days be composed of 48 hours or something?
I was counting on being able to do that tomorrow or in the next few days, but screw me, I guess. Is Todoroki okay? Broken nose and a cut above his right eye where he hit the nightstand by Midoriya's bed. But Recovery Girl patched him up right away and he seems to be perfectly fine.
Toshinori replies almost mechanical.
Didn't seem to be particularly upset about it, and I saw him and young Midoriya. Well, they seem to be fine with each other, so I think that all things considered, it all went better than I feared it could.
Aizawa sighs. That's a tiny measure of relief, but he'll get anything he could.
How did that even happen? Actually, why was he in Midoriya's room?
Aizawa frowns, groaning.
Aren't those two going a bit too fast?
There's a second of silence before Toshinori confusedly asks,
What do you mean? He was in Midoriya's room.
Aizawa replies, and when the silence stretches, he says to himself, This is Toshinori Yagi you were speaking with, idiot. Spell it out.
They are two teenage boys in a romantic relationship. Alone. In a bedroom.
Something finally must click because Toshinori makes a spluttering noise.
Oh, do you think?
He stutters.
I mean, I don't think they were doing anything. They were both fully clothed, at least.
A small cough.
I assumed they were just sleeping together. I mean, not sleeping together. I mean, you know what I mean.
Aizawa would have probably laughed in his face under any other circumstances, but right now he just felt too tired with, well, everything to do so.
Please keep an eye out for them. Just make sure they are being safe.
Toshinori makes an undefinable noise before sighing.
Fine, I will.
He sounds like someone being pushed toward their death sentence, so Aizawa is not surprised when he suddenly changes the subject.
Anyway, how is Ari doing? How long are you going to stay there? I spoke with the doctors again as soon as I came back.
Aizawa takes the bait willingly. There will be other times to awkwardly speak with him about how he should give his totally not adopted son the talk. For now, he fills him in with everything he could, distractedly observing the few stars visible out there in the deep night sky.
Are you really sure?
Yes. Shoto replies flat once more. He slips under the covers, Izuku scooting over a bit to make space for him. He doesn't like the idea of sleeping near Shoto's right side, now that temperatures definitely dropped and autumn was knocking on their doors. But he really doesn't have much of a choice. If he gets another nightmare, Shoto will need to get up quickly. So he keeps that to himself, hoping the comforter he threw on the bed would be enough to keep him warm. His room has been cleaned thoroughly. He'll ask tomorrow who he has to thank for that. But a faint smell of blood lingers in the air. Izuku is not quite sure if the smell is actually there, or it's just his mind making up things. He ignores that too, as he relaxes with a little sigh in the comforting softness of his mattress. Shoto turns on a side, facing him.
Izuku?
He murmurs, and when Izuku hums, he adds a smile in his voice.
I love you.
He doesn't have any more nightmares that night. Apparently, Ochako's mind has a limit of weird things I can accept, and what she's seeing goes way above it. She just so happened to stumble into Midoriya and Bakugo as she came downstairs for breakfast, catching a glimpse of their quiet discussion. Bakugo was already wearing his uniform while Midoriya was still in his pajamas.
Sorry.
Midoriya says, voice low, nervously playing with his cane.
You were right. I was overreacting yesterday. Sorry I put you in a corner. I'll try to stop overthinking stuff so much.
Bakugo sighs, rolling his eyes. If you say it with that cake puppy expression, it doesn't sound convincing at all. He replies flat. And then he does the thing. And Jacko is pretty sure she saw it. That just happened, right? Midoriya weakly smiles after not seeming particularly shocked.
Okay then. Gotta go get changed now, huh?
He says, vaguely indecisive.
I'll see you in a bit, I guess.
You can't say, mate. Bakugo immediately quibs back, although there's no venom in his voice, and Midoriya laughs.
True that. Well, you will see me in a bit then,
he says, sounding slightly more cheerful. He waves at Bakugo before turning toward the elevator, stepping in it. When Bakugo turns and sees her standing by the stairs, he jumps, eyes going wide. Did all that just happen? Ochako says, not even a question. Am I seeing things? Shut up! Bakugo immediately snaps, flustered, suspiciously looking like he might be blushing. Did you just pat Midoriya's head? She continues, flabbergasted. Gently? Granted, he only did it once, while looking as emotionally constipated as he possibly could. But he did it nonetheless. There's a long, long moment of silence as they look at one another, frozen in their respective spots. Oh, Baraka, I swear to God, if you tell anyone at all, what shouldn't she say? Kirishima appears from behind her, cheerful. The expression on Bakugo's face suggests he either wants the ground to open up and swallow him, or to kill the both of them slowly and painfully. Probably leaning more for the second option. This is all your fault, he growls, glaring at Kirishima. You put things into my head and now everything's weird. Huh?
I just saw Bakugo being kind to Midoriya,
Ochako says faintly.
like a normal person.
Two small explosions rang in the corridor loud as Bakugo gritted his teeth and are positively murdery. Bombs up. Kirishima's grin could possibly break his face as his glinting eyes pointed at Bakugo unfazed by the noise. Aww, you did listen then, he says, equal parts touched and joyful. I'm so glad. Good job. Don't you good job, me, you jerk. Bakugo snaps. That's patronizing. Besides, it was my own decision, so don't you get strange concepts in that shitty-haired head of yours. Yeah, of course, Kirishima replies, amused. I would never dream of that. Ochako kind of wants to point out that Bakugo outright accused Kirishima of putting things into his head like 50 seconds prior. But she likes her face unexploded, thank you very much. Anyway, the both of you, zip it. If you go around gossiping, I'm gonna blow up everything you care for, and that's a promise. Bakugo says, pointing an accusatory finger at them. What I do with a nerd ain't any of your business, got it? Kirishima shrugs, still grinning, as Ochako mimics zipping her mouth closed. Bakugo regards them with one long, last pointed glare before turning with a huff and walking away from them. They watch his back until he disappears into the kitchen before exchanging a look.
What did you say to him?
Ochako can't help but ask, tilting an eyebrow. I just asked him if he'd do me a personal favor and try to mend things between himself and Midoriya. Kirishima replies, his grin much smaller, but still there nonetheless. I'm honestly not quite sure when that happened, but it's good to know they may be working things out, isn't it?
I've never seen Midoriya that relaxed around him before.
Ochako replies, shaking her head in amazement.
It is good, you were right. Very good.
A little lopsided smile pulls at her lips as she locks eyes with Kirishima.
You are a good friend.
Kirishima blushes furiously, scratching the back of his head as he shifts his weight from foot to foot, embarrassed but also pleased. I tried, he replies with a little smile. I just want everyone to go along. Ochako bumps her shoulder against his, playful, making him laugh.
I still have to eat breakfast, but I'm kind of scared to go into the kitchen right now,
she says, pensive.
Bakugo might decide to explode my face after all.
Human shield, at your service, Kirishima replies with a little bow. I'll be happy to escort you and make sure your face stays pristine and not turned into 1,000 tiny pieces. It's Ochako's turn to laugh, snorting ungracefully into her palms. They made their way to the kitchen, walking side by side.
I heard explosions. What pissed Bakugo off?
Toru asks, bumping into them as they walked to the other side of the counter. Bakugo turns on his stool and glares at them, slowly sliding a thumb on his throat. The real question is, what does it piss Bakugo off? Kaminari intervenes from above the stove, bed-haired. I mean, it'll be an easier list to compile. Everyone has a death wish this morning, I see. Bakugo replies, glacial and looking slightly unhinged as he slowly turns to stare at Kaminari. Kirishima flails his arms in a clear "shut up" gesture above his head, immediately stopping when Bakugo turns back to them. Good morning. The possibility of more morning explosions is thankfully stopped by Todoroki appearing at the entrance of the kitchen. A silent, slightly jittery Midoriya trails by his side, fingers hooked in Todoroki's elbow, the both of them now in their uniform. Wow! Mina exclaims, her dark eyes widening. What happened to you? Huh? Todoroki replies, blinking. That wasn't there yesterday. Mina says halfway between a question and an exclamation, pointing at Todoroki's forehead.
Ochako holds her breath. Not everyone was there the past evening when Bakugo emerged from the elevator with a shocked-looking Midoriya basically glued to his arm, of course. A good chunk of the class already left to do their own things in their respective rooms. Todoroki confusedly palms at his own face before his fingers make contact with the new scar above his red eye. "Ah," he says, faintly. "I hit a sharp corner with my face," he adds, shrugging. "It's technically not a lie, but definitely not the whole truth either." Mina frowns, clearly more confused than ever as Midoriya flinches, oh so slightly, turning his face down. "Gee, man, you gotta be less clumsy," Mina ups, crossing her arms. "You're going to ruin your pretty face like this." Todoroki ups back, slightly amused. "I don't have... It doesn't matter either way," he replies, shaking his head. "Me and Izuku have a couple of things to do before class, so we're going ahead. We'll see you there," he adds, nodding silently, and just as fast they go, the entrance door softly clicking in the distance as they get out. "Izumi, or did Midoriya look worse than he did yesterday?" Toru quietly says, clearly worried. "I thought you guys said he wasn't hurt. Maybe he should go to the infirmary."
"Leave it be. It just needs time." Bakugo intervenes, flat, before Ochako could even answer. They all turn to look at him. "Getting kidnapped by some craphead ain't no damn walk in the park." No one really says anything after that, finishing their breakfast in contemplative silence. Izuku's hold on his arm is a bit tighter than necessary, but Shoto doesn't protest. It's not like it hurts anyway. The walk to school is much quieter at this hour. It's early enough that no one but them got out their dormitories yet. It's nice being able to enjoy the peace and silence, just the two of them. "You know," Izuku suddenly says, subdued, "it's the second time I heard Ashido make a comment about you being pretty, if I remember right. Are you?" "What?" "Pretty?" Izuku slightly turns his face up to him. As far as Shoto could tell, he slept peacefully, but he definitely looks out of sorts and vaguely loopy. "How would I know?" Shoto replies, honest. "What? Are you blind too and didn't tell me?" Izuku chuckles, vaguely surprised. I don't think I could really say if I'm pretty. Isn't that conceited?" "I don't know. I don't think so." Izuku sounds unsure, frowning vaguely. "I mean, if you are, might as well admit it to yourself, right? There's nothing conceited in that, I think." Shoto huffs, shaking his head. "I honestly don't know, but I don't think so. I mean, my hair is dumb and my eyes are strange, not to mention the scar on the left side of my face. People always gawk at me, so I doubt I'm particularly attractive. I'm sure Ashido is just joking." "No, she was totally serious," Izuku replies promptly. "I think you might be misinterpreting the way others look at you. I can tell that a lot of people are interested in you, especially when we hang around in the cafeteria." That is definitely new to him. "Are they?" "Wow, you really didn't realize," Izuku replies, surprised. "You're silly." Shoto ups, blushing slightly. "Maybe they are being silly and need glasses," he mutters, slightly uncomfortable. "In any case, whenever I'm pretty or not, it really doesn't matter to me." Izuku hums, pensive. "Well, for someone like me, not caring about looks, I can get. But you... do you really not care?" "I never had any reason to." Shoto shrugs. "And I'm already with the person I fell in love with, regardless of how I look, so..." Izuku blushes, heading his face against Shoto's bicep, grumbling something he cannot quite understand. Lips curling, Shoto bumps into him gently. "Why so curious? Do you want to brag about the fact you got a pretty boyfriend?" That drags a huffy laugh out of Izuku. "Stupid," he replies, a smile in his voice. "I just want to know more things about you, I guess." Shoto hums, non-committal. Izuku's grasp on him relaxed a bit, and he slides down a hand, interlacing his fingers with Shoto's. Why are you so sure Ashita was serious? Anyway, are you keeping your cork on? Shoto asks after a few seconds of silence, realization faintly hitting him.
Yeah.
Izuku replies with a sigh.
I tried to keep it off for a bit this morning, but it just made me more nervous. I'll try to turn it off again later, balance things out as much as I can, I guess.
I see. Shoto releases a little sigh, trying to quell the worry he feels at the bottom of his stomach. Izuku really doesn't need to deal with that on top of everything else. Well, since you have it on, then... I know you said you don't care about looks personally, but I'm sure that if you weren't mulling over this already, you probably will at some point, so I just want to let you know one thing.
What?
Izuku asks, perplexed, stopping when Shoto does. Shoto grabs his other hand, too, facing him. You are the most beautiful thing I ever laid my eyes on. It's worth to say it just for the violent blush that rises to Izuku's ears and cheeks. Shoto grins to himself as his flustered boyfriend pushes his face against Shoto's chest, moaning something about Shoto being too much to handle. The knocks on his office door arrived perfectly punctual.
They are here. Just a second.
He says into the phone, getting up to open the door. Young Todoroki looks up and nods, entering with young Midoriya in tow.
Good morning, young Midoriya, and...
Toshinori says, a small smile on his face. When the boy blinks but obeys, offering his hand palm up, Toshinori puts his phone on it.
It's your mother.
Oh! The boy exhales, faintly surprised, fumbling with the object for a second to make sure it's the right side up, before putting it at his ear. Hi, Mom! He steps away from him and young Todoroki, approaching the window of Toshinori's office as he speaks softly. They watch him go, leaving him some privacy as they turn to look at one another.
Speaking of which, I've convinced Recovery Girl to leave to me the duty of reporting yesterday's incident to your family instead of letting Principal Nezu call.
Toshinori says, voice low.
But the number listed as a contact for your mother connected me to a hospital.
Young Todoroki groans, turning his face up to the ceiling, clearly exasperated.
Of course, he grumbles. But that jerk doesn't even know she has a personal phone.
Toshinori doesn't comment on his choice of words, at this point not even vaguely surprised.
I have her number, of course, but I can't remember it right now. Is it okay if I'll give it to you later? That's fine, as long as I'll be able to report to her within the day. Okay, I'll go grab it during lunch break.
The boy sighs, massaging his forehead.
Thanks for, listening to my request. Not a problem,
Toshinori replies, shrugging.
Everything alright?
Yes. I'm pretty sure he internalized the concept that what happened yesterday wasn't his fault. The boy replies after a short silence. He's still stressed out about, well, everything, but I guess that's a given. A pause. I think he might need a bit of help. He adds, voice lowering significantly. Toshinori sighs.
It's something I've been discussing both with your homeroom teacher and young Midoriya's mother, along with the principal. We are currently looking into options,
he murmurs.
I'm only telling you due to your relationship with him, but all of this should obviously be confidential, so please keep it to yourself. It's young Midoriya's prerogative to eventually disclose his health situation to others, okay?
Sure. The boy replies easily, mismatched eyes pointed at Midoriya's back. I'm glad something is being done. That's when young Midoriya suddenly turns, walking up to them. Mom asks if you want to come with us. We are going out this afternoon after lessons are over, he says, addressing young Todoroki. We need to pick up a new phone since mine broke. Oh, sure, the boy answers, blinking. I need a new one too, so... Midoriya smiles briefly before turning back to his call. He mostly listens in, idly playing with the button of his uniform jacket, humming every now and then. Okay, see you later then. Bye, Mom, he murmurs, and then he offers the phone back, expression blank. Thanks. There's something deeply unsettling in seeing the boy so detached.
Holding aside, Toshinori gently takes the object off his hand.
Thank you for coming by. I also wanted to let you know that Aizawa will keep being absent a bit longer. He's staying in the hospital as a safety measure considering the nature of Ari's quirk, although we don't believe she will lose control of it. But better be safe than sorry.
Toshinori says, practical.
She's still feverish, but her temperature hasn't gotten any higher, so the doctors are sure she'll start to get better in the next couple of days.
Oh, that's good to know, Midoriya replies, blinking, his entire face instantly lighting up at the mere mention of the girl. I'm glad Aizawa-sensei is keeping her company.
Apparently, she likes watching the endless amount of cat pictures on his phone.
Toshinori replies with a chuckle.
But I haven't told you anything about Aizawa's dog secret.
A small grin passes on the boy's face at that.
My lips are sealed, he says, amused. He turns toward young Todoroki, gently grabbing his arm. Maybe when she'll feel better we can go visit? He says, clearly barely capable of containing his excitement at the thought. She'd love to meet you. I'll be glad to meet her too, Todoroki replies softly, and Toshinori swears that if this boy could manage to channel even a tiny bit more of pure adoration into his eyes as he looks at young Midoriya, he might just explode in a cloud of hearts and rainbows. Chasing away the silly mental image, Toshinori smiles to himself before intervening again.
That was all I needed to tell you. You can go to class now. I'll see you both during the afternoon exercises.
The two boys politely excuse themselves, but they must stop right outside the corridor because Toshinori can still faintly hear them even after he closes the door.
I think it's still a bit early to go to class. Unless you want a head start. I've been taking notes for you.
Young Todoroki says softly. Shoto, Midoriya replies, voice low and slightly moved. Of course you did. A sigh. It's maybe later. I just don't feel like it now. Todoroki hums. Well, we can go outside and enjoy the gardens, he proposes. Let's go sit under a tree and make out, isn't it?
Maybe.
Sounds like a plan.
Toshinori splutters at the rapid-fire exchange, hiding his face in his palm. While he's happy for both of them, seeing how they clearly enjoy their relationship, there are certain things he definitely doesn't need to know, especially not after what Aizawa implied the past night. Although we did promise to keep an eye out for them, he just had no idea how to do that, when to even start. This is pretty much uncharted territory for him. He sighs to himself. He will have to find a chance to speak with his young pupil alone, sooner rather than later. They walk side by side, shoulders brushing, a relaxed silence following them. The day went not badly. Izuku still felt moody and not quite in control of his quirk once more, but he's not going to fight it for now. He's just too tired. All in all, going back to school wasn't as bad as he feared. He ended up being confused by some of the topics touched in the morning lessons, but during lunch break, his friends helped clarifying some things for him, and for what he could read of the notes Shoto compiled for him, perfectly ready to be put into his braille display, even though we never explained Shoto how any of that worked. Just Shoto being thoughtful as usual. It shouldn't take him too much to catch up with what he missed. The afternoon rescue exercise had been nice. It felt good to burn through some pent-up nervous energy and focus on it completely, forgetting for a bit his temperamental mental state. They really didn't have much time to rest after lessons were over since they had to go meet Mom outside right away, so we felt a bit tired admittedly. So, are you going to tell me what happened to your phone? Izuku asks, breaking the silence as they rapidly approach the entrance gates. Shoto doesn't immediately answer his question, releasing a little sigh. I chucked it against a wall in a fit of rage, he replies after long seconds. Flat. Izuku blinks. Why? Friday evening, I got a text from my father. Shoto continues tiredly, saying he was going to attend my lesson on Saturday. You can imagine how happy that made me with everything else that was going on. I just sort of saw red and threw the phone and it went in pieces.
I'm sorry.
Izuku murmurs, finding his forearm and caressing it.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Did he actually come to the lesson?
Yeah, but I went to Yagi-sensei after I lost my cool because, I don't know, I just needed someone that would understand.
Shoto mutters, his light tense. And he promised me that he'd keep him at bay, and, well, he did. I didn't have to speak with my father even once thanks to him, so it wasn't too bad.
Izuku blinks, surprised and wondering. This is clearly a condensed version of the facts. Admittedly, he's kind of curious to know what Shoto and All Might might have possibly spoke about. At the same time, he's not going to pry. Shoto is clearly not too keen on sharing more than he already did, and Izuku definitely doesn't want to put salt in the wounds.
I'm glad he helped, he says instead, softly. If I can ask, why are you calling him Yagi-sensei? I'm fairly sure you've always called him All Might.
Shoto sniffs. Is dumb, he mutters.
I'm sure it's not.
Izuku sighs, slightly exasperated.
Just tell me, it'll be fine.
I just thought... A moment of hesitation. I just thought that if I tried to separate the concept of All Might from my perception of him as my teacher and a person I can trust, it'd make it easier for me not to linger too much on the bad memories I have due to his hero identity. Hence the name.
Shoto, that's not dumb,
Izuku replies, honest, a small smile pulling at his lips.
That's a very nice idea, actually. Pretty smart. Is it working?
A little bit, I think. He does make it easier, Shoto says, a smile in his voice. He's nice. Izuku grins, happiness blooming in his chest.
He is. I'm glad you're doing this. I hope you'll be able to build a relationship with him.
Shoto hums non-committal, circling Izuku's shoulder with an arm. Izuku gladly leans into him just as they are coming up to the gates. Mom is already there, waiting outside the car. She feels amused, but as soon as they step by her side, her light turns concerned.
Oh dear, what happened?
She asks, worried, and Izuku doesn't have the time to ask her what she means before she steps in front of Shoto. The way her light moves suggests she might be putting a light touch on Shoto's face.
You didn't have this last time, did you?
Shoto's light turns surprised and shy rapidly at that. I accidentally hit my face on a sharp corner. It's nothing, he replies even, and Izuku wonders yet again just how obvious the new scar is for people to react so strongly to it. He gulps down a ball of guilt. Shoto doesn't blame him, and he'd be angry if Izuku kept doing so. He made it pretty clear he doesn't want Izuku to be wallowing in guilt about this. Mom cuts before letting out a little annoyed sigh.
This school is too harsh on you boys,
she grumbles. It wasn't during a lesson. Just an accident in the dorms, Shoto adds quietly. But really, it's nothing. I mean, have you seen the other side of my face? There's a long second of silence before both Izuku and Mom release a surprised little laugh at that. Shoto's like caressing him with a sense of accomplishment.
You've got Izuku's brand of humor too, I see,
Mom says, amused.
Get in the car, you two. I was hoping we could get your new phones quickly so we'd have more time to catch a bite before getting you back here.
They obey, claiming the back seats to sit side by side, fingers entwining. Mom seems to take a second, maybe glancing at them in the rearview mirror as a flash of fondness goes by in her before she starts the car.
Oh, Izuku?
She says, her voice carefully flat, a couple of minutes into the drive.
We're gonna meet up with Ichiko and Miki, too. Ichiko knows what happened, but we've decided not to tell Miki.
She continues, her voice lowering.
I don't know if you agree with this decision, but in that moment, we didn't want Miki to worry, so I just told her your phone broke. Now, it's up to you to tell her the truth. Or not. Or if you want her to know but don't feel like talking about it, I can tell her for you, dear. Whatever you prefer.
Izuku blinks, taking a second to ponder on it.
Maybe they took the right choice. No point in letting Miki worry needlessly, especially after how many times she had to deal with worrying for Izuku in such a short time. I think you did the right thing, although I'm sure Miki wouldn't agree. He sighs tiredly. I don't know if I want to tell her. At least not for now. I don't know. Okay, honey, Mom replies, voice low. Think about it. You don't have to make a decision right away.
Izuku huffs, leaning sideways to rest his head on Shoto's shoulder. The chilly sensation on his right side is reassuring. He feels like his entire life has come to a halt as he stands in front of all these things to reflect upon, and these decisions he cannot quite make yet. They are rapidly piling up to the size of a mountain range. A step at a time, he thinks to himself as Shoto silently leans in and presses a soft kiss against Izuku's hair. A step at a time. Shoto takes a little sidestep wisely as Miki literally tackles Izuku into an energetic hug, making him release a noise not dissimilar from a wheezing, squeaky toy. Izuku tries to say, weakly grasping for said air as the girl squeezes him.
Oh, shut it, Midoriya. I haven't seen you in ages. You live.
She replies with a little laugh. She gives one last squeeze before letting him go. Izuku takes a big, dramatic breath, making her laugh again. Glad to see you too, he replies after that's a genuine little smile pulling at his lips. What have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
Miki replies, eyeing him critically.
If I have to be honest, you don't look too good right now, buddy.
Shoto observes. Silent. Izuku goes absolutely still for a moment, his face a mask, before he casually replies, My internship has been pretty demanding. I'm just tired. Miki eyes him critically, frowning.
Yeah, I bet,
She says, flat.
I've seen the news. That battle the other day? What happened there?
She adds, curious, but immediately follows up with, Never mind. I know you can't tell me details. Don't answer that. Izuku relaxes so minutely anyone but Shoto would have missed it. He smiles again, shrugging. That's when Miki's attention suddenly steps onto Shoto, that blinks, vaguely surprised. She grins, all teeth.
So, you two still going strong, huh?
She says, cheerful.
I swear that Izuku can't shut up about you for a minute. We could be talking about Texas and the weather, and he'd find a way to get the topic back to you.
Miki! Izuku hisses, blushing furiously. He hides his face in his palms. Oh my god, why do you have to be like this?
Oh, let me have my fun.
She grins, elbowing him. To be fair, Shoto intervenes calmly. If I had a friend out of school to speak with, I'd probably talk about Izuku just as much. He finishes with a little shrug. He really didn't think it possible, but Izuku goes possibly even redder with a small muffled groan.
Aw, aren't you two disgustingly cute?
She says, amused. You guys, let's go! Izuku's mother suddenly calls from a bit further away, standing near Miki's. We haven't got all day, you know? Miki huffs slightly, but then winks at Shoto before hooking her arm under Izuku's and dragging him toward the two women. Shoto follows suit, observing as Miki's mother steps by their side and puts a protective arm around Izuku's shoulders, the three of them falling into an easy chit-chat. Much to Shoto's surprise, Izuku Midoriya turns and walks by his side, her face turned up to him. When he meets her eyes, he distantly wonders if Izuku would have inherited the emerald of her gaze, under different circumstances. We never really had a chance to speak, you and I, didn't we? She says softly, a small smile on her lips. I guess it couldn't be helped. We all got swept by all these events. Still, I would like to get to know you better, dear. Shoto gulps around a knot in his throat. He has no reason to be nervous. Izuku's mother is, for what he has seen and heard of her, a very nice person. He really shouldn't have any reason to be nervous. He's not quite sure what it is. Maybe the fact that he wants to make a good impression on her, especially after their disastrous first meeting way back before he and Izuku were even a thing. Or maybe it's just how mom she is. Even if he's been slowly rebuilding a relationship with his own mother, there are still things that hurt and stings in him. And looking at Inko's smile, hearing her call him dear so easily, feels like someone insistently poking at the distant memories he has of those days before his face became scarred and everything went wrong. I guess, he concedes softly. Not much time to sit around with a cup of tea and talk. Huh. She chuckles lightly as they enter the shop, going for the phone section. They both look at Izuku, that seems fully distracted by Miki, that is already looking over some phones, describing the specifics to him. Shoto also looks at the objects, although he isn't particularly interested, admittedly. As long as he has a device with the basics, he'll be happy with it. I would definitely love to actually sit with a cup of tea and time to spare, but I'll get when I can, Izuku's mom says, thoughtful. I know you boys are very busy at school, so I understand that you only get so much free time. Anyway, I don't mean to pry, of course, but as a mother I can't help but worry and wonder, what pushed you to pursue a relationship with Izuku? Shoto can feel a slight blush rising to his cheeks as he nervously massages his own neck.
I can't say it was a conscious decision.
He manages to answer a little tense.
I mean, I just really like him. He's smart and funny, and staying with him makes me happy. That sounds like an understatement to his own ears. There are so many amazing things about Izuku, and he would love to spend hours listing them, waxing poetic about him. But apparently, actually attempting to do so leaves him tongue-tied and unable to properly put to words his own feelings. Izuku's mother only hums at that, and a bit of a silence stretches between them, only filled by the sound of a bubbly clerk chatting about a specific model to the trio not far from them. Shoto picks up one of the phones on display just to have something to do with his hands. He did so much for me, even when we were basically strangers.
He continues softly, breaking the vaguely heavy silence.
He saw the obstacles in my way and helped me climb over them of his own volition. He accepted me as a friend without a single question. And as time went by, as I saw all the small and big things he does for others without a word, as I witnessed his selflessness, I couldn't help but fall in love with him.
He finishes with a whisper.
Izuku Midoriya, at his side, gasps softly. He turns perplexed, meeting emerald eyes full of surprise and wonder. In love?
She whispers kindly. Shoto's blush must definitely be visible now as he clears his throat. Yes, he admits, voice a little rough. I love him.
Shoto remembers many things branded into him by pain and anger. He remembers his father telling him that emotions are a weakness, and that in order to fulfill his purpose, Shoto must stifle them. He remembers his father telling him he wasn't supposed to build a connection with his own brothers and sisters. He remembers how he took his mother away after the incident, not giving them even a single chance to try, reconnect, and forgive. He remembers the many times he's been shown that affection was not something he was allowed to feel, both by words and actions. But these feelings bloomed in him regardless, changing his life for the better. And now here he is, standing in a random shop holding a phone he's not even interested in, as his boyfriend's mother, the mother of the person he loves more than life itself, looks at him with tears in her eyes and a fond smile opening on her lips. Her hand is kind when she puts a butterfly-light touch on his forearm. I see, she says, low, still smiling, like she has absolutely no doubt Shoto was being honest. I'm glad to know Izuku is capable of making you so happy. And I'm glad to know you are here for him. I hope we'll have other chances in the future to talk and know more of each other. But I just wanted to thank you for taking care of him.
It's more the other way around, to be honest.
Shoto replies, vaguely uncomfortable.
She chuckles. I'm sure you both love to take care of each other. In any case, I can see how happy Izuku is about this relationship. It means a lot to me. so thank you.
With a little sigh, Shoto puts down the phone, turning fully to her.
Maybe I should be thanking you,
He says, his mouth running before his brain.
What for?
She asks, blinking.
Would it be crass if I say that I should thank you for bringing him into this world?
Shoto replies after a second, embarrassed. She splutters, clearly astonished, before melting into a laugh. Shoto is pleasantly surprised in noticing the way she puts a hand on her mouth as she does so, much like Izuku does when he laughs. His brand new phone's cheerful little ring and announcement that he got a message from Miki shakes him awake. He hadn't even realized he was dozing off as he waited for Shoto to come back from his shower. With a yawn, he palms on the nightstand, finding it. Thankfully, they found a model not much different from his now broken phone, so it wasn't too hard getting accustomed to it during dinner. He opens the texts, letting the message he just received play.
Even if we couldn't see each other for long, I'm glad we've got some time to spend together, Izuku. I know there's something you weren't telling me, and I just want you to know that it's okay. I understand that with the road you've chosen, there will be many things in the future you will need to keep to yourself. Just know that even if things will inevitably change, you'll always be one of my dearest friends, and I will always support and cheer for you, okay? Love ya.
Izuku blinks as silence falls after the voiceover is done reading the long text to him. It feels his nose sting and tears collecting in his eyes. It takes him a while to compose a reply after taking a long, shaky breath. I know you will. You've always done that, ever since we've met each other. I'll never stop to consider myself lucky to have met you, and grateful for what you've done for me. It's true that there are things I can't share right now, but one day maybe I will be capable to. Thank you so much for understanding. I love you too. After sending the text, he just lies there, the phone on his chest, both hands resting on it. The door opens softly, and the familiar smell of Shoto's shampoo fills the air, as a weight gently tips the mattress down a bit. Everything okay? Shoto asks, softly, vaguely concerned. Just thinking, Izuku replies, voice low. I'm very lucky. Shoto's weight on the bed shifts, as he must be sitting cross-legged on it, his knee gently bumping into Izuku's side. What makes you say that? I'm surrounded by so many amazing people. All of them so willing to help me. Izuku murmurs, finding Shoto's knee with a hand, fingers lightly drumming on it. I'm just very grateful. Shoto hums, warm fingers landing onto Izuku's. I see. I think I understand what you mean. Izuku smiles at it before softly asking, What did you and Mom speak about? Shoto seems to take a moment to reflect before answering, sounding slightly embarrassed. Not much. She said she'd like to know me better. She's very nice. Oh, well that's good. Maybe one weekend we could go home and spend some time with her so you two will have a chance to know each other more. Izuku replies, the idea making him feel both a bit tense but also very warm inside. He likes the idea of Shoto and Mom getting to know each other properly. Yeah, it'll depend on our schedules, I guess, but that sounds like a plan. Shoto replies, pensive, before adding in a voice so soft Izuku barely hears him. I was wondering if you'd want to come with me and meet my mother too. Someday. Izuku blinks, surprised, as Shoto carefully entwines their fingers, still sitting on his knee. You want me to do that? Yes, I haven't told her about us yet, but I think we're getting there. I think I'll be able to tell her soon. A pause. Would that be okay with you? Meeting her? Of course! Izuku whispers back, squeezing his fingers gently. Shoto sighs before sliding away from his hold and turning on the bed to get under the covers with Izuku after taking his phone off his chest and put it back on the nightstand. Neither of them really had to ask the other if they wanted to sleep together again. Izuku was under the impression this is going to become pretty much the norm. Not that he minds. He finds Shoto's jaw, caressing him, and carefully leans forward, gently putting a careful kiss on his forehead. Izuku's lips grazed the bigger scar on the left side of his face, the texture rough under the touch.
Shota relaxes after that, releasing a little sigh through his nose before scooting a bit closer. Izuku feels the warm breath tickling his collarbone, and then Shota speaks, so quietly he can only hear him due to the absolute silence in the room.
I know that trying to get back into the school routine must have been really difficult today. I just wanted to let you know that I think you did really good.
It was, Izuku admits, voice low. But having you near, and everyone else too, helped a lot. I feel like I've taken a little step forward, maybe.
That's good. A small step is better than no step, right?
Shota replies, and Izuku feels just slightly his jaw shifts under the fingers still sitting there. Maybe he's smiling. The sudden wish to see Shoto's expression, his smile, hits Izuku like a sledgehammer. But no matter how much he wishes, that's not something he can have. Not now, very probably not ever. But, well, there was something else he could try to do, maybe.
Shoto?
He murmurs, interrupting the silence. For a second, he thinks Shoto might already have fallen asleep, but he hums back.
Can I touch your face?
I think you are already touching my face right now. Shoto replies, faintly amused. Izuku releases a little huffy laugh.
I don't mean like that.
He shifts, sitting up.
Come here a second.
With a little grunt, Shoto drags himself up, also sitting, and gently takes Izuku's wrist to guide his hand against his cheek. Izuku easily follows with the other, palms now sitting on both of Shoto's cheeks, the temperature difference between them obvious under his skin.
If it gets uncomfortable, tell me, okay?
Izuku says, indecisive, and when Shoto hums affirmative, he takes a deep breath to steady himself, before carefully starting to explore Shoto's features with his fingertips. He slides down to his jaw and chin, a place he's already fairly familiar with, having picked up the habit of searching for Shoto's lips in a silent request for a kiss. But he let himself do more than that this time. He follows back up with a line of Shoto's nose and the arc of his eyebrows, sliding his fingers under Shoto's soft bangs to feel his forehead and hairline. He goes sideways, following said line to his temples and ears, back to his jaw. Izuku kept exploring, silent, fingertips easily sliding along Shoto's skin, and Shoto didn't move nor make a single noise, letting Izuku turn his head around gently as he curiously mapped his features. When Izuku decided he had enough, his palms turned back to where they started, sitting on Shoto's cheeks. The silence around them turned so heavy Izuku is almost afraid of breaking it, even when Shoto releases a little trembly sigh. Shoto's fingers tickle along his neck when he rises his own hands up to caress Izuku's cheeks and then cup his jaw. Izuku still kept silent as Shoto gently tips his face up a bit and presses a gentle but firm kiss on his lips. Even after Izuku shifted his arm to lazily circle Shoto's neck, their noses brushing and their breath tickling one another, they didn't speak for a long time.
Did that help?
It's Shoto that breaks the silence, sounding a bit rough and indecisive.
If I have to be honest, I'm not quite sure. I don't think this whole face-touching thing is actually effective,
Izuku admits with a little chuckle.
But it felt nice. Was it uncomfortable?
Of course not. You can touch me anytime you want,
Shoto replies with a little huff before adding, That came out with a little more innuendo than I thought. Izuku splatters a little surprised laugh, cheeks pinking. It's okay, I know what you mean, he replies, smiling, and Shoto releases a small amused huff before leaning in to rest his forehead against Izuku's neck. Izuku grabbed the occasion to spend some time carding his fingers through Shoto's soft hair, the silence around them much more relaxed now. That's when the realization that he felt much less tense suddenly hit him. He still feels his head murky with heavy thoughts nipping at him from the back of his mind, but being back home, surrounded by the people he cares for, maybe it's finally really sinking in.
I think I'd like to spend some time with Urabaka and Ida tomorrow. Izuku says. I feel like we haven't had the chance to just speak for ages. Would that be okay with you?
There's a moment of silence before Shoto replies with a question of his own, confused.
Why are you asking permission?
He says, rapidly adding,
I'm not your owner, Izuku.
That's not...
Izuku blinks, confused.
I guess you're right. I don't know what my line of thought was there. I guess I don't know, with everything that has happened, I guess you'd like to spend some time, just the two of us.
Of course I like being with you, but I want you to be happy. Shoto murmurs, trailing his lips up to place a small kiss on Izuku's cheek. If spending time with our friends makes you happy, so be it. And I like being with them too, it's not a sacrifice for me.
Okay,
Izuku replies, a small smile pulling at his lips.
thank you.
A small, happy laugh escapes Shoto's lips, tickling him, before he smacks another small kiss on his cheek. You're silly, he murmurs, affectionate. Better get to sleep now, we had a full day today. Izuku obeys gladly, and they settle back down, facing one another, noses almost brushing. Shoto's hand gently circles his, and he distractedly plays with Izuku's fingers until his hold goes slack and his breathing turns even. Izuku listens to it intently, smiling to himself a bit as he entwines their fingers together, and he slowly slides in the gentle arms of sleep.